Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Two Grumpy Old Men Talk About Disney, otherwise known as Another Disney Podcast. This opening is going really well. Hey, we're going to do our first ever, maybe it's our first annual, I don't know, our first ever Overrated, Underrated in the 4 major theme parks at Walt Disney World and Disney Springs. So let's roll that thing with the guy with the weird voice.
This is another Disney podcast production.
What's up, man?
Hey, not a mucho.
Not a mucho.
Yeah, a lot going on. Just squeezing this episode in before I take my son.
Squeezing this episode in. I know
camping.
You got all sorts of crazy fun coming up this weekend that I'm super jealous about. Like, could you imagine me 2 months ago, like when we were doing this show in January, could you imagine me being jealous of your weekend this weekend?
Nope.
I'm not sure I could have predicted it, but I'm super jealous.
Yeah, there's going to be shenanigans had as much as you can have with a 7-year-old son. But we are going to live off the land. No, we're not living with the land.
No,
we are sleeping in a van down by the river. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to live off the van.
Yeah, we're going camping, but not like at a campground. So I got my way to power it and our solar power and our grill and 5-pound propane tank. Riveting information on this podcast. So yeah, it's Wednesday as we sit here and sit down and record March 30th, and we're gonna sneak I have off Friday, but I was like, man, if I can get out of work early on Thursday, which I should be able to. He gets out of school at 3:30. We can bounce. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Cool.
We're off to see the wizard, whatever that means.
We're off to see the wizard. Yeah. And I'm jealous of the wizard, but
yes,
we have more important things to do.
We do.
Before you get to the all-important camping trip of the weekend. I was kind of excited about this episode. Like I sent it to you this morning, and then just like you, I was like, there's way too many things to think about. Like there's way too many options, but we're going to try to narrow it down. So yeah, we're looking at overrated, underrated in all 4 major theme parks. And I thought it would be super fun to also throw Disney Springs in there because there's a lot of stuff to do there. And, I don't think a lot of people think about like, what should we think about doing at Disney Springs?
Yeah. My stuff, man, is really weird.
I would expect nothing else. Like, it's so funny because like sometimes we talk about like what we're going to discuss on the show.
Yeah.
And sometimes we go into it like 100% blind. What we're going to do today. So
you have no idea what I chose. And I have no clue what you've done.
Zero idea. So I'm like sitting at dinner, like brainstorming. I'm like, all right, I got like underrated A. I got underrated A.
If you're watching video, I got
Oh, that's a lot of stuff.
I went all out.
You went all out. All out. So then, hey, without further ado, let's get into this. So
okay, let's spin the dial and see what park we land at. Ready?
What park do we land?
Here we go. I just couldn't resist playing.
It's the sound that has to be played forever.
That's the drink. Okay, drink.
Cheers.
Okay, on the special roll a dial, we landed at Magic Kingdom because of course we did, because that's first on my list. All right, who wants to? I did it as overrated, underrated on each one. How did you do it?
You started off, so I think you go with your overrated. I'll go with my overrated. You go to your underrated, then I'll go to mine, and then we can kind of discuss.
So you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Oh man, mine's a doozy. I
mean, you did some work, so I gotta reward that.
I could get punched in the face right off the bat. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, how many times have I said that? I'm going to look way over here at my notes for this is riveting for video, by the way. At Magic Kingdom, what I think is one of the most overrated things there is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Yes, that's right. Okay, so let me unpack it because that's the important part. Still here, no tomatoes have been thrown. Brandon didn't go, what? So we're doing all right so far. Yeah. All right, there really are 2 things about this attraction that made me select this. One is probably like low-hanging fruit. the wait times are awful. Like, and again, I'm an old grumpy old man, so I'm going to live in the old school way of things. So I'm just going to say it because it's easier, because I can never remember Disney Genie Plus Pass Lightning Lane. I don't know how to say it. So the wait times are awful unless basically you rope drop or do fast pass. Like if not, you're looking at a over hour wait the entire time that the park is open and operating. So that's one thing that's going against it. Let me clarify. Do I love this attraction? 100%. Really fun ride. But I will say, for my point number 2, that will absolutely contradict what I just said, so that didn't work out well as far as timing. To me, it's very underwhelming. Okay? If you didn't slow down and go through the mine shaft, it's about the same length as Barnstormer. Let's be honest. Yeah, you don't really lose your stomach, right? But I will say it's really only saving grace is the cool video that you get with the photo pass. Like that's pretty cool because it's like super slow-mo and but that is just and now that you have to pay, it may be a ticketed party event before I ever ride that attraction again, because I'm not paying for Fast Pass to ride it, and I won't wait in the 170 minutes that it's going to be the majority of the time. So that's what I got.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with all of that. I mean, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a great fireworks are going on attraction. Like everybody's at the fireworks, you go ride that. Like if you don't care about the fireworks, so be it. But I agree with you. I'm not waiting in line for it. I'm not paying for Lightning Lane for it. I'm just not at when you say the apple's not worth the squeeze.
That's right.
Or
the lemon's not worth the squeeze. I think
lemon's not worth it. I'm not sure you can squeeze apples.
But you could try.
I mean, you could try. You have to be like Gaston. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. But here, my friend, is my overrated.
Oh, here we go.
I may also get stuff thrown at me for this one. I think one of the most overrated attractions at the Magic Kingdom is Space Mountain.
Wait, what? You love that attraction?
I do. I really love it, but I think it's super overrated. One, and I'll tell you why. One, since the reopening after COVID, to wait in line for that ride is ridiculous. I mean, the line comes out, goes back, wraps around, is down by Joffrey's, down by the bathrooms, a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Also, the queue is not exciting in any way, shape, or form. So if you're going to wait in line for an hour to ride Space Mountain, there's nothing to do. You just stand in the dark and people breathe on you. Like there's nothing else to do. And then once you get into where you board, then you're like going back and forth and you go behind that weird wall. Yeah. But there's still nothing to look at back there. So you hope your phone gets service so you can play some sort of game while you're waiting in line for an hour. So that's one reason.
Okay.
Two, I think the ride puts me in traction every time I get on it. Like whether you're in the front car, the back car, you're thrown around. Like I never can remember which way the thing is going to turn. So I'm leaning this way and my neck snaps this way. So I think Space Mountain is one of the most overrated attractions in the Magic Kingdom. I still ride it. If people want to get on it, I'll still go on it with them. But again, I think how we would rate this is the fact that would you pay to ride it? Would you get a Lightning Lane pass to ride it? And the answer is never for Space Mountain. So I think it's super overrated.
Yeah. Two things to jump on your train, pun intended. One, let's talk about a little bit about the queue. I don't understand it at all. You start off and you basically, right when you get in, go down like 3 sets of stairs, and then it dips down even lower, and then you make this Everest-style climb back up. Why is it all just one level?
Why don't you just walk straight into it?
I'm guessing do we go under the train tracks at some point? Maybe that's part of it.
Anytime you go down at Disney World, the excuse is it's under the train tracks.
There you go. But it feels like
Maybe it goes under the people mover. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But it is quite the dip and then quite the climb. And then
why do you have to go down 4 sets of steps
to then like make your slow ascent back up. And then 2, this is blasphemy in my house because hands down in all of Walt Disney World, this is my wife's favorite attraction. And my daughter, the older as she got, has grown to love it. But dude, here's the thing. You have yet to experience Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. And when you do, there is no comparison. Those 2 rides are smooth as butter. And so that's why Kim hated the one it is. She was like, oh my gosh, this is nothing like, but I was like, oh, it was so like, and it had the Star Wars overlay when we wanted. I was like, this was fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, I'm Dave. I despise that ride. I've gone 67 weeks without riding that horrific ride. Okay, that was good. All right, so we jump into underrated. Okay, this is not a surprise at all for those of you who know me. I talk about this place often, and I'm going to switch gears for my underrated and go to a eatery, a place.
I know what you're going to say without even hearing it. I
don't know. It's quick service.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe not.
So I think one of the most underrated things in Magic Kingdom is Columbia Harbor House. Now, COVID didn't do it a lot of favors because it was closed the majority of the time, but it is back open. Hands down, that is my favorite quick service to eat at any park on property. Any park. Yes, any park. So let's talk about why. All right. Can we just talk about the elephant in the room? It's pretty much the only quick service that doesn't have a hamburger. so kudos for thinking outside the box, Disney. And obviously at Columbia Harbor House, it is, it's not obviously, it is seafood themed, but yes, they still have your chicken nuggets and fries. You can even get fish and chicken and fries. You can get all, but they have like a lobster or something kind of sandwich and all kinds of great stuff. So I love that because it's a different menu. The food, yes, it's quick service, but I guess because it's not a hot dog, a hamburger, and chicken nuggets, that it almost feels a little bit more like a sit-down meal. And what helps make it feel that way is the fact that the indoor of that, it's immense with seating. And I hate talking about secret things, but I mean, it's not secret. Everybody sees them. Typically, if you go upstairs, there's even less people. You're not having to stand and wait and with your arms thing, with your tray, waiting for somebody to get up. Yeah. There's almost always seating upstairs. And the other thing that I think sets this apart, it has a view upstairs out the window that rivals some deluxe restaurants. Is that right? Deluxe? Is that what we call them?
Signature, deluxe, something like that.
What is the deluxe meal plan would be include sit down, right?
Yes.
Yes. Right. I mean, to be able to look out and see the ferry boat. Is it a ferry boat? I don't know what it's called. And then Haunted Mansion. It's just a great view. And this is a quick service that you get and they're pretty quick. I've never had a thing where oh my gosh, our food's taking forever. But yeah, I think those 3 things, when we look at my notes, I said it this way: the views out the window that rival strategically placed seating in other restaurants around the different parks that you would consider sit down and have wait service on. That's what I think about. But yeah, I love it. I love it. It's just different.
I love it. And Krista, my wife, she's not a huge seafood fan, so we never used to go there a lot. But we went there, I think, during the 50th, and we sat upstairs, and it was super nice. And even on the 50th, it was not crowded up there. We found a table by the window. There was nobody around us. So I agree. Columbia Harbor House is a good, underrated place.
Yeah, there's just so many underrated attractions. I was like, I'm going to go food.
Yeah, and I also went that direction.
Dude, no way.
Yes, I think that one of the most underrated places that you can eat, and it is also a quick service location, is Sleepy Hollow. Yes. Sleepy Hollow, when you leave the hub, take a left, go across the bridge. It's the first building on the right. They have such delectable treats as chicken and waffles. They have a Nutella waffle. You can get funnel cakes there, but it's just it's kind of it's not a secret. It's always crowded.
Yeah.
But I think it's underrated because people just think, oh, they only have like waffles. Like who wants who wants a waffle?
Or they think of all of the decadent word. Yeah. Treats are on Main Street.
Yeah.
Which is true. But like you can go there and you still get kind of some fancy fun treats that don't have, yes, it's always crowded, but it doesn't quite have the Main Street lines.
It does not. It does not. And then obviously you can mobile order there, but my favorite thing there is the chicken and waffle. They put this nice fried piece of chicken in there and it's got some sort of like hot honey on it, which is amazing. And I just think that it's, if you talk to somebody who was going to the Magic Kingdom and you said, what's the snack you're going to have? One person out of 100 may say, oh, I got to go to Sleepy Hollow and get a Nutella waffle, or I got to go get the chicken and waffles, when it should be much higher just because I think it's so good. And then the seating area is kind of tucked off away to the side. You're kind of out of the way of everybody. There's a lot of shade over there. So I think that's a cool place to enjoy your treat from Sleepy Hollow. So that is why I think that is one of the most underrated places in the Magic Kingdom.
All right. I've got your grumpy old man dad joke for you. Ready?
Do it.
Hey, what Brandon is saying is don't sleep on Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, dad joke for the win.
Oh, gosh. Let's run away. Okay, good. So that covers Magic Kingdom, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's spin the wheel.
That was pretty tame.
I can't believe we both picked an attraction and a ride. And food. That's funny. All right. It looks like it landed on Hollywood Studios. Okay. I'm going to stay very similarly located. I almost said, okay, strategically located. I'm not going to go far at all. So let's jump in with my overrated. Here we go. I think the most overrated attraction at Hollywood Studios is Slinky Dog's Dash. I know. I can see the long stairs now. I can see them now. Here's the deal. So my problem with this ride is that the wait, lemon's not worth the squeeze. The wait times don't match the wow factor. Is that fair?
Yes.
Right. I think that's a fair assessment.
I agree.
Also, like, this is a roller coaster. Okay. Right. And so when I think of a roller coaster, that's a thrill ride, which seems crazy to say this. It's not really a thrill ride, which actually seems hard to pull off, being that it's a roller coaster. Like, it's almost like harder to pull off. Like, wow, you made a roller coaster that wasn't a thrill ride. I don't know how you did it, but well done.
It's kind of a nice leisurely.
Yeah. So I will say visually, like when you enter Toy Story Land, it looks really cool. I think, having Jessie and Rex up there certainly helps. And just the way that all of Toy Story Land is themed is so well done. But it's not a very creative ride. So I know that they have I don't want to give it away, but there's something they do in the middle that would simulate what, that fun little character is capable of doing as a toy. Did I navigate that well?
But that was pretty good.
I think that even that is still almost had a really good pun there. I'm doing it. I think even that was still a stretch of how they. You're welcome, everyone. I think, and then you take back off and it does some cool things, but yeah, it's really underwhelming, and I think it's probably not fair. Back in FastPass days, I never, ever scored a FastPass in the 3 or 4 times that I went before COVID. And so I've ridden it twice and never waited less than 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And again, without that fun thing in the middle, not much longer than Barnstormer again. Like, it's a really quick... I don't know. It has some cool elements. It's themed really well. The queue is great. Queue is definitely great once you get to it, because you spend most of the queue all the way down the walkway getting there. But yeah, that's mine. I don't have to keep going. Slinky Dog's Dash.
Slinky Dog. And I knew you were going to say that. Like, we've talked about this on the show before. Every time we're in the park together, we walk by Slinky. You're like, I'm not getting.
I'm not getting
like it's not happening.
There's 877
that is not a
people in that
surprise.
line.
I agree. I'll get on it if the wait's 20 minutes. But I'm not going to wait for any extended period of time. So, yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, I expected a lot more from it when they drew it up and explained what it was going to be. Like that takeoff that they do at the beginning, you're like, that's it. We went from 0 to 13 miles an hour in 8.9 seconds. Right. Like, it's, and then, after they do the thing where the slinky, is supposed to do, and you go up out of that and over the top of the hill, I expected like lose your stomach, like fun stuff. And it, it just, it creeps over the top. So I'm with you. It's not really, I guess it was a kiddie ride that was marketed to adults.
Yeah.
Kids the love it. Way that I can explain. Yeah. Kids love it.
Yeah, that's weird. This is the only one, to follow up, this is the only one on my list that, like all the other ones that I say are overrated, I still love them. This one is the only one on my list that I'm all like, I would, like, if someone asked me, I would be like, unless you're the biggest Toy Story fan, skip it.
Yeah, I agree.
Or like you said,
you could get on
30 minutes or less, like a pizza.
Yep.
Right,
so here's mine.
All right.
Here's mine. So I'm also, again, we're going to get the tomatoes and the potatoes and the rotten stuff just tossed at us. But here is my overrated Hollywood Studios. When I was thinking about it, I just wanted to say like Hollywood Studios itself is overrated because it's everything there is awful. But it's just we were going to go to the park tomorrow, and Krista and I were like looking at the park availability, and we're like, oh God, Hollywood Studios is open. Like, is that what we have to pick? Like, there's nothing there to do. And like, it's Hollywood Studios. So I was going to just say Hollywood Studios is overrated, but I limited it down to one thing, one attraction. And that attraction is Rise of the Resistance, ladies and gentlemen.
I almost picked that.
Rise of the Resistance is very overrated.
Yes.
This is in the category like Dave has. Like, I like it. I will ride it. I just think it's super overrated.
Yes.
For all of the stuff that you have to go through to get on the ride.
Man. And it's worse now.
Unless you're a huge Star Wars fan, there's just too much going on. We've talked about it, and if you haven't seen videos of it or been on it by now, people, like, I'm not even going to say spoiler alert. It's been long enough. Like, the coolest part of the ride is, after you take the transport and you open into the Star Destroyer bay, and the stormtroopers are there, coolest part of the ride. Yeah. But you only stay there for 8 seconds. Yeah. And you have to move to another room. Like, there should be a whole, like, the pre-show should have been in that room. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That's the coolest part of the ride. So you have to skip over the coolest part of the ride, and then you're shoved into these tiny little hallways that, I mean, they look like a Star Destroyer, but there's not really anything going on there. And then they move you from the tiny hallways and shove you into another tiny room where you wait for something to happen. And then you get on the ride where just too much goes on. Like, there's too much to figure out. So imagine this. You're coming to Disney one time ever. Your goal is to get on Rise of the Resistance. You get on it, and you have no idea what happened. You saw one out of the 57 things that happened, because I've been on it probably 6-7 times, and I still see different stuff all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
To me, it's overkill. It's a pain in the butt to get into and physically get on the ride, and so that's why I think it's overrated.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I did interrupt you, but like, and it's like, we thought it was bad when you had to like get to the park at like 5:30 in the morning and get in line and then get it and then be waiting at 7 a.m. Like, what is now is way worse, because now it's just, hey, come stand in line for 4 hours or pay for it.
Yeah.
It's basically where we're at.
That's your choices, which makes it even worse. So, I mean, again, this is one of those rides that I love. I'll get on it. If people want to get on it, I'll do whatever I can except for pay for it, to try to get in line and wait for it and stuff like that. But I think it's actually one of the most overrated attractions on the whole of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to be the shock factor, but then I was like, because it has such a wow factor. I didn't like, but even still, the wow factor for the hoops that you have to do to experience it right now with these crowds is, oof. Oof.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof is right.
I don't even know. Like, and I'll say something else. All of the attractions too in Galaxy's Edge are really one and done. Like even as I am nowhere near, I am not a Star Wars fanatic. I am a Star Wars fan. More the older stuff. Like I still get, like I could go to Galaxy's Edge and stand and marvel at the Millennium Falcon for 15 minutes and that be the highlight of my trip to Hollywood Studios. Like it still gets me every time to be like, dude, like that ship that is so iconic in all those films is life-size right there in front of me. And it's spitting out steam and making all these noises. And then at night it takes on a whole new life of it. Like it's awe-inspiring to just go stand and look at it. And that's like, and the Ronto wraps are pretty good. That's a repeat.
The Ronto wraps are good. I like the breakfast version.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. Let's jump over to underrated. I went double attraction at Hollywood Studios. Okay. So this is going to be no surprise to you. I think what is severely underrated is Toy Story Mania. Told you I wasn't going very far. Okay. First of all, it's in my top 3 attractions at that park. I mean, I know there's only like 7 attractions, but shut up. Okay. But to me, like this attraction has so many things going for it, right? So it has, might get some pushback on this. It has the best queue in Walt Disney World. It's my favorite queue.
I would argue one of the best queues in Walt Disney.
Fair. Yeah, fair. I could even say that. Let's see what else. The competition factor, right? Everybody in your car or row of, maybe it's 8 people total. I don't know if it's per car or which could be as many as 4 or per whatever. And so like everybody that's in that car, you kind of can see at the end who did the best. It does have a 4D element to it because sometimes when you're popping stuff or shooting something, you get hit with blasts of air. And no matter what you do, it's never the same experience. Like, that is not the case of Rise of Resistance. Right. It is what it is. Rinse and repeat. That's right. And like this by far, it has only been less than a decade that this was the premier attraction at Walt Disney World. And again, I'm going to go back to FastPass days. Like this dropped to the 2nd tier FastPass and now hardly has more than a 30-minute wait unless you're at a crowded time like now. But I mean I could go on and on. Like it has a lot of great qualities and it's cleverly done, right? There is nothing like this in any theme park that I've ever been to anywhere in the country and in the world.
Yeah.
It's 100% so different.
Unique.
Yeah. And I think I think it's still pretty popular, but I think with all of the whole Toy Story Land edition and Galaxy's Edge, that's where everybody's focus is now, which is great for me because the lines are always shorter. That's my underrated.
Everybody can go to that stupid Slinky Dog Dash ride, please. And we can throw rings around alien heads. It's great.
Yes,
it's great.
That's a good line.
I thought about doing that one. I did think about doing that one, but here I also went double attraction. Here is my underrated. Okay. Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster.
Oh, I almost picked that one.
And this is why. One, it's awesome when it works. It's broken down a lot, but when it works, it's awesome. The things that I think it has going for it, the queue is awesome. Like when you walk into the actual building, there's like posters for your concerts coming up, and you show up on the concert posters, and then you'd go in and like the studio's there with Aerosmith. So that's cool. There's not really anything like that anywhere else in Hollywood Studios. But the main thing that it has going for it is a thrill ride. There is a drastic shortage of thrill rides at Walt Disney World. And this is truly a thrill ride. Now, I think it could use, once you get through the entrance and you get through the Aerosmith studio part of it, it's really just a generic dark ride roller coaster, right? There's not, there's some freeway signs in there, and there's, some theming, but it's really not a lot. I really think that it needs to be updated and rethemed and everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's super underrated because a lot of people are like, why do I want to go in a dark roller coaster? And it's a thrill ride. And Disney, as we talked about last week, like Disney is going to need to find a way to incorporate thrill rides into their parks if they want to keep up with the park down the street. So
100%.
That's why I think Rock and Roller Coaster is underrated, is because it is a great thrill ride.
Yeah. And the music's awesome. Like the whole time.
Yeah. And the music's great.
It's one of those things
I
that
love
like,
the part like when you're sitting there and it's like 5, 4.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and then you take off and
I guess they change those speakers often because the speakers are behind your head if you are not a roller coaster enthusiast and haven't experienced this. But man, they sound good always. Like I've never gotten on there and be like, oh dang, the speakers are like old and wore out and it sounds like crap. They must replace them often.
And you were rocking, like you're just feeling the music and like rolling through barrel rolls.
100%.
I love that ride. There's a lot of people I know who don't like it and won't get on it just specifically because of the takeoff.
Right.
The takeoff's the best part. But I just love it because it is a thrill ride.
I was hoping to look over at our Amazon product and see that picture of our daughter like the one time she rode it. Okay, there we go. We knocked it out. Let's spin the wheel.
Spin it.
All right, we have landed on the second best park in Kissimmee, Florida, Epcot. Epcot. Experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Okay.
What do you got?
Oh, what do I got? Let's just jump in. Let's jump in with both feet. Here we go. My overrated is Soarin'. Okay. Now, like I said,
that was my option B, so I'm glad you went with that.
I know. And I do. Like I said, I love this attraction. But here's the thing. Here we go. This paragraph is really long. Okay.
Do it.
If it's more than 30 minutes, too long of a wait. Period.
Correct.
And it's very 100%. Rarely below 30 minutes. Is that a paid Lightning Fast Pass Genie Plus thing? Or is it just Lightning Lane?
No. Nope. You can just select it on Lightning Lane.
Okay. Could there be a worse queue in all of Walt Disney World?
It is awful.
Hold on. Is there a longer queue in all of Walt Disney World?
No.
Basically, if you roll up to that and it's the end of the night, or you're there like on a Tuesday in Bebember and there's nobody there, if it says 5 minutes, that's a lie, because it's going to take you 12 and a half minutes to walk all the way down
exactly
to where you gotta
there's
go.
No one in line, you're taking 15 minutes to get on the road.
Hands down. Yeah, those are like, I can't believe how far you walk. And I mean, they have added those games for those, like where people can hop onto the app and play the games that go up on the screen. But like, other than that, it is a cold metal blue fiber optic lane of long walking. It's awful. It's awful. Okay.
They should put that on the website.
That's a selling point. The times will go down. Okay. The other one is, this is a no-brainer. Okay. The angles. It is very imperative where you sit on this thing. So to give you an example, if you don't sit in the spot that I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute, there's nothing like seeing the Eiffel Tower as a fish hook. It's so bad. So that was worth the wait, right? So when you ride this, in order for it to work as it was intended by the Imagineers, you must always sit in B1. So
B1,
when you go and
absolutely.
ride that, we've talked about this before, but here's your bonus tip. When you get down to the flight attendant, ask for B1. If you have to wait another 8 to 12 minutes for the ride, wait for it. Because again, the fish hook Matterhorn and the fish hook of Eiffel Tower just doesn't bring it home the wow factor. But I digress. There's another major problem when this launched. I was one of the ones that was very excited from it going from, this is not the first iteration of this, I should say that. It started off as a different film, and it was shot on film, and it was actually shot. That'll be key here in a second. The other thing that I cannot stand about this is it is mostly computer generated. most of what you see was not actually captured in the real world. And that takes it just away from it. Like one of the shots is of the Taj Mahal. Have you ever seen a picture of the Taj Mahal that doesn't have 847 million people out there? Yeah, you never have. And it's really dirty and disgusting there, right? Okay, yep. This is the most beautiful, pristine. There's like 4 people walking and a cool bird that comes and lands in the fountain, right? And then there's a whale that jumps. No, is it cool what they did? Yes. But the original film, the Soarin' over California, was all like actually captured and shot and real people, and it was real. It was really good. So that's my it just disappointed me when the new version came out. I didn't know it was all going to be pretend.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Yep. Like Soarin' is one of those things, like if friends come into town, right, or you have people who've never been to Disney World before, yes, let's go get on Soarin'. You will love it because you don't know any better. Yeah. If I'm going to just go to Epcot to just walk around, I'm not going anywhere near Soarin'. Yeah. It's just not happening. So I agree with you. Super overrated. Yeah. Super overrated. But here's mine. Here we go. And mine's going to be no surprise. Like we talked about this a couple times on our show.
I think we even named a show after it.
I think we even named a show after it. But I think the most overrated thing, and it could be also one of the most overrated things behind Rise of the Resistance in the entirety of Walt Disney World, is Frozen Ever After. And let me tell you why, folks. Like, it's a cute ride. It's great. One, you're going to wait in line for like an hour and a half. Now, some of the line is cool. If you haven't been there, like some of the queue, if you wait in the actual standby queue, you get to go, through the little village. You get to go to Oaken's Trading Post, and there's cool stuff that happens in there. That's it. But that's after you've been in line for an hour and 45 minutes. You get to stand in there and look at that stuff for about 18 seconds. Yeah. So it's a great payoff. Then we get to the ride. Okay. The main problem I have with this ride is much like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's very short. It's barnstormer length. Yeah. But the other problem I have with this ride is I still can't figure out what the heck is the story that's going on in there. Like, you go around one turn and Olaf's doing one thing that doesn't have anything to do with Frozen, and then you go around the other turn, and then it's like Anna and Kristoff from the sequel to Frozen, which I don't really understand. Yeah. And then you got to hear the obvious Let It Go song, and then you go backwards down a hill, which is nowhere near as cool as the Maelstrom drop.
Preach.
And then you go by a snowman who's blowing out smoke, and then you're done. Like, there's no continuity in the story, and it's only 58 seconds long. Yeah. So I don't think waiting in line for this long or paying for this ride is worth it at all. Yeah. Spend your time. I would rather go to Soarin' than go to Frozen Ever After. I'd rather go stand in line for Remy's, even though that was like my 1A as far as overrated attractions, because I wrote it. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't remember a thing about it. So that's never true. A good sign as far as attractions.
You get chased in the kitchen. After. You get chased in the kitchen. There you go.
I guess. I don't remember a thing about it, but Frozen Ever After takes the cake for me.
I've always liked it, but I think it's because when I'm on it, I was a massive Maelstrom fan, and so I like go back to my special place where I'm like, okay, and this was right here, and here's where you went outside, and then here's where you went. Like, so for that, like, I enjoy the nostalgia, but yeah, it is a fragmented scenes of characters that are in the films and short films.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing you just said is the funny thing that you just said proved my point. You were like, I used to like it because when I wrote it, it reminded me of another ride. So like, if the attraction makes you think of another attraction, it's not a good attraction.
No, nope. But so many people love Frozen.
And the other thing, it has nothing to do with Norway. It's like in the country of Norway, and they're like, we are going to force Frozen down their throats. We're putting it in there no matter what.
Is it Norwegian folklore? I don't know.
It has nothing to do with it. Nothing. So that's what I got.
is that underrated? Here we go. This won't be a surprise for Brandon. Again with the attractions. My underrated is the Three Caballeros. The Three Caballeros. Okay, this ride is so great. I love it for so many reasons, but here's just a few. It's buried inside a pavilion, which most of the time that you go in Florida, which means fantastic air conditioning.
Yes.
It's kind of hidden, and even when that line is long, it's never really that long. It is a long ride because of the speed that it goes on. Right? You're sitting. I think it's creative and unique. Now a lot of people would say, as a fan of Small World, I will say this. You get the great Mary Blair look that she created with all of these characters without the most annoying song in human history.
Agreed. Yes. That is a fantastic point. Yeah.
And then last but not least, it's Donald Duck. Who doesn't love Donald Duck? And for the most point of this, he's not angry. I do have to say that like there is some Disney things that frustrate me. One of them is whenever I see any gear of Mickey Mouse with him angry, I'm all like, when has Mickey Mouse ever been angry about anything? And so like I hate seeing like the hats and stuff where he's got this mad face. I'm like, that's not the Mickey I know. Mickey brings happiness to people all over the world, to ages young and old. So I don't know like that. But Donald, that dude's always pissed off. And in this attraction, he's pretty happy. Maybe it's because he's on vacation in Mexico. I don't know. Yeah. And then, I don't know, it's a catchy song that's not Small World. Yeah, man. Like, it has so many things going for it, right? It's like inside air conditioning, sit down, long ride. Boom, let's go.
Yeah. Boom.
There it is. Good. That's me.
I mean, I like it. And like you said, Donald Duck doesn't get enough representation in any of the parks, right? So, like, it's fantastic. He's got a little ride dedicated to him. They had to send him to a different country to enjoy it. But, I mean, it was great. It's great. So, I agree. Underrated. Here's mine. I also went attraction play. And this might surprise you. I picked The Seas with Nemo and Friends.
Oh, that's a good one. I forgot about that.
So, here's the reason. Here's the reason why I think it's underrated. So the ride itself is nothing special. It's just like, Little Mermaid. It's, one of those continuous mover rides. It's cute. Half the time stuff doesn't work. Awesome. Like that big fish that chases Marlin around. Half the time it's making the noise. There's no fish. That's not the cool part. The cool part about this is when you get to the end. They put you go past the full aquarium. And then they project the characters from Finding Nemo in there. And then when you get off the ride is when the fun begins. So there is so much stuff to do in there. Like you could spend if you did everything in the living seas, right after the Nemo ride, you could spend probably half a day in there. If you go check out the manatees and like look at their, listen to their little show, that takes a little bit of time. There's a thing, and I don't know they've done it since COVID, but like a diver comes down and like swims, and they talk about how he goes up and down in the water. Like that's a 20-minute show. And then you go over to the aquarium and you look at the sharks, and then sometimes they have a dolphin show or a dolphin demonstration. So I think it's just underrated. The attraction itself is not the best. It's cute, but I think what's underrated is all the stuff you can do after you get off the attraction.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think that is, if you're like, hey, let's go on Nemo. Like people are like, really? Like you want to go on Nemo? Like I want to go on Nemo to get to the stuff after Nemo.
Yeah. And for the air conditioning and the sitting down.
And for the air conditioning. It's a relatively long line, and you can hang out in there for as long as you want the air conditioning in the heat of July.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's great. Like some of these queues that I struggle with are maybe just post-COVID crowds. And even during COVID with the social distancing, it was like these queues, you were outside forever. Like, and that is a nice big queue that, when you can stand in line normally, you'll never be outside for the queue. You'll always be inside.
Exactly. Like you walk up to those doors and like, and the air's like,
yes. Like,
so it feels fantastic.
I've just gone into the ocean and I'm still dry, but I'm nice and cool.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
So Under the Seas with Nemo and Friends.
I like it. All right, let's spin the wheel. I guess that's the last time I can spin the wheel because there's only one more place to land after this. But where we landed was Animal Kingdom. Shocker. We're doing all the parks first. All right, Here we go. I bet people are thinking that I was going to say Flight of Passage, but you are so wrong. So wrong.
I bet you're not.
No.
I think I know what you're going to say.
I don't know. Let's see. Dinosaur. Is that what you were thinking?
Well, nope. That is shocking.
Okay. Here's why I think it's overrated. But let me see. I do like this ride, but it is it's a bizarre choice even for Animal Kingdom. I know it's in Dino Land, and I feel like they made that whole land just for this attraction because, I mean, it's considered like a e-ticket attraction because the other one is like a crawl all over the place playground, and then the other one's Midway Games in a parking lot, and then the Triceratops spin, and the other one they demolished. So it's just a really weird area that I think they should redo. Okay. It's based on a film that is now 23 years old that 8 people have seen. When this film came out, loved it. It was one of the first times that I saw them. The big key with this film, when you go back and watch it, it's not a big deal today because, again, it's 23 years old. The film mixed real world elements with the computer generated dinosaurs, but how they did it was really, really well done. Like when I first watched the trailer on some DVD, the trailer was like over 5 minutes long. And I was like, this is unbelievable. But it's a movie that nobody has seen, and it came out like in 2000. So, they filmed it way before that. Okay. I know I'm a boomer. I'm getting old, but it is a very rough ride, even too rough for the storyline that I think they're going for. It's a ride that beats the crap out of you. You can, there are several rides that some people say are rough that you don't have to hold on. If you don't hold on, you will get hurt. You will pull something.
100% agree.
You will bust your face open. And then this is, again, goes along with the age. Our dinosaurs don't look very good even in the dark. They're looking pretty rough.
They need a lot more mood lighting to hide how long ago those things were built.
There's a lot of moving, and then when they stop, there's a whole lot of chicken liver necks still jiggling around. And so I just think it's not great. And it's a weird, it's just there because of okay, we didn't do whatever the beastly kingdom, so we got dinosaurs. Let's go.
I don't know. Dinosaurs. Let's put them in. Yeah.
So that's
I agree.
Overrated.
Yeah, and that ride is it's like Space Mountain to me, right? Like if you need to be in traction when you get off the ride. If that's the case, then it's not an enjoyable ride. Yeah. So, I mean, I go on it every once in a while. We stood in line for it during COVID. Remember when the crazy line wrapped?
I've never stood over there.
Like through all of the entirety of Dino Land, we stood in line for that ride. But yeah, I don't think I've been on it since. So
there you go.
That tells you we agree. So mine at Animal Kingdom would be the Navi River Journey.
Oh, yeah.
Overrated. And this is why. One, in no way, and this is like a running theme with the things that we feel are overrated. It's way too short. It's way too short, and it's way too boring. Now, this thing is put in Pandora, right? You have Flight of Passage right next door. That is amazing. I got on Navi River. I think when we went for the preview, we got on Flight of Passage first, and then we were like, let's go to Navi River because we could just walk on then. And we got on it, and I just found myself saying, that's all they did. I feel like the projections in Navi River Journey are pretty elementary. They're pretty simple projections. You can tell clearly there's a screen there. Yeah. I just thought there would be a lot more done. But the thing I have the most problem with, one is the speed of the boats. They go through way too slow.
Yeah.
2 is when you get to the end with the shaman.
The payoff.
Which is they made the whole ride for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time it's not there, and they just put a screen up.
Oh, no.
So I've waited And this ride routinely has an hour and a half wait.
Yeah.
So I've waited an hour and a half to see this cool thing that I saw on Disney Plus about how they put all this awesome technology into this shaman in the Navi River, and it's a screen. It's a projection of the shaman. So to me, it's one of the most overrated rides. I don't like it. This is one of the ones that if people are like, we're going to go on it, I'll be like, I'm going to grab a beverage and I'll wait for you to come out. Cause I don't like it.
I'm going to go play the drums and take all the pictures and go get some of those bubble frozen drinks over there by the, totally.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I was going to say that, but I'm like, that's kind of an obvious one. Let me go with something a little bit different, but yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is breathtakingly beautiful. But it is like, if it went at a normal speed, that's a 8.6 second ride.
Yep.
It is very short, but it's like surprisingly short. Okay. Underrated. I'm struggling to say this is me and 7 of my best friends are going to agree with this. I am way out on a limb all by myself with that. And that is, it's tough to be a bug. I love this attraction. I can tell by I can't see you because I've switched to me. I can tell. I love your laugh was like, what is wrong with him? But hey, don't look at me like that. I know what I'm talking about. All right. There is a lot to love about this attraction. Don't stop laughing at me. Okay, for one, you get to go like into the tree, and the path leading up to the tree is probably the best part of the whole thing. It's really neat to see all of that detail, like all up front. You get to see areas of the whole tree and like the root system, I guess, that you can't see where you just stand and take the picture. It's really unique to walk down through there and see all of the intricacies of what they got all over the tree. Which again is probably the best part. The premise of the attraction, although very dated, very, very dated, maybe more dated than Dinosaur, I think is really funny. Like the little show that Flick does and all the people that he brings out and how like my favorite thing that I always think of, like if it was not for us, you'd be standing in shoulder high, shoulder high waist or whatever the part of the song is. Yeah. And the special things that they do like on your seat and the smell-o-vision, like it's more creative than PhilharMagic in my opinion. So I don't know. I always like, even though it's super old and dated, it's so great. And Rob Fuzz, who we've had on our show multiple times, he has like a very early like opening year, and to watch that version of the video and hear everybody's reaction, because there was no YouTube then. It was still new, and it was a lively crowd to when you experience that for the first time and have no clue what's coming. It's just really well done, the elements. It's just like everything else, dated, but I think it's super underrated. It's so fun. I've never gone in that and been like, gosh, why did I do that? I've always been like, this is so great.
No, that's true. It does make you happy, and it's like, it's just like fun laughs, like when the bugs run along your back and you're like, that's fun.
You get stung by the bee or whatever.
Yeah, that stinky stink bug shoots the stuff, and you're just like, yeah, it's fun. I agree. I laughed at you when you said it, but like the little kid in me is like, A Bug's Life is super cool.
I know, it's so good.
The wait on that one is also deceiving because the show is like 10 minutes long. So the walk from the entrance all the way around the windy paths through the tree, it takes about 10 minutes. And then you got to wait 10 minutes to get on it. So
it's a half hour experience easily.
If it says 5, it's going to be a half hour.
Yeah. Hands down.
So love that. So my underrated is, I'm moving away from attractions.
Nice.
My underrated at the Animal Kingdom is the Satuli Canteen over in Pandora, the restaurant. Now, I don't think that this quick service gets the attention that like Tusker House does in Animal Kingdom. Like that's where everyone wants to go. I think the food over at Satuli Canteen is on par with some of the food elsewhere on Walt Disney Resort. They just have very unique food. I don't eat a lot of it because I'm a very simple person, but my wife loves it. And we eat there. We try to eat there, every time we go to Animal Kingdom, just because it's got such great food. But I mean, if you've never been there, it's right over by the exit where you come out of Flight of Passage. The whole, the whole premise is that it used to be a mess hall for the people who worked at Pandora. That's been repurposed into like a dining facility for the Ace Expeditions. And so it's just a cool place. The decor inside is super awesome. And it's also one of those places, like we've talked about before, Dave, that you can refill your own drink. So again, when you're looking for places, you're spending $4 or $5 for a fountain soda. This is a good place where you can go and drink as much of that fountain soda as you'd like. And I think it holds a special place in my heart because we went there for the preview and we ate there, which was cool. And then again at the 50th, when we went there and we saw that cast member.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
And she's one of the most amazing cast members that I think you and I have ever had a chance to witness, like in action, what she did. And nothing about it was like spectacular. Nope. She didn't go out of her way to like make people notice her. Yep. But we noticed her just because what she was doing. So it's a cool place. Things, I think it's super underrated. Every time I've been in there, it's not like it's packed to the gills.
No, not really.
I mean? Like, there's not people standing in line waiting, 15 deep to get their food. There's always plenty of seating. So I think it's just people don't know about it, or it seems weird, so people don't go eat there.
Yep, agreed. Dude, we're going to go over an hour on this episode.
Dang, we just love talking about stuff.
We love underrated, overrated. Okay, don't have to spin the Wheel of Fortune.
Just play it.
That might
got to keep it.
That might be trademarked.
Just play it one time. There you go.
There it is. Okay, we are launching.
We reached the last one.
We are launching. We are floating over to Disney Springs. Floating?
Disney Springs.
I don't understand what's happening. Okay. Oh boy. This is going to bring about the shock and awe. And I will stand by this. I will say this is not this is the most overrated thing at Disney Springs. And that is World of Disney.
Amen, brother.
Oh, you didn't pick that, did you?
No, I did not. Okay. But amen.
Oh, that place. I'm looking for a positive. has lots of Disney stuff.
It's got Disney merchandise in it.
There you go. Okay. All right. Let's unpack it. To put it nicely, I can't stand that place. There's nothing about it that's great. Okay. First of all, the layout before they remodeled, horrific. The layout after they remodeled, horrific. I have never gone in there and been like, I know exactly where to go to find this. I'm always like, if I were a shirt, where would I be? I see shirts over there. No, those are for toddlers. No, those are kids. It is so, to me, and maybe I'm just a dumb male. I know I opened up a lot for that, but like, it is not obvious where things are. And there's and then the aisles, like they put in all the stuff at Walmart. It's the same thing. You walk up and you're like, well, why is that there? Why is that over there in the section where I was looking for it? Anyway,
exactly.
Okay. Here's the simple fact. When you think about all of the Disney shopping you can do on property, when it comes to my Disney souvenirs, I would much rather shop at the Emporium on Main Street. Hands easy, like all day. Yeah. Like it's divided up naturally. The way it's divided up makes sense. I haven't been there in forever, and I can tell you from front of Main Street, but I can go by each section. It's very obvious where to go and how to find it. Anyway, but I will say, to flip it, there are two places that I would want to go at Disney Springs that I would and do get like cool Disney attractions do cool Disney gifts. And like an idiot, I didn't look up and can never remember the name. One of them is really cool. Like sometimes it has plates and So, and then there's a little bit of
it's
artwork.
like the co-op, I think.
Yes, the marketplace co-op. Like that is one of my top favorite things that I always love to do when we go to Disney Springs. And then the other one is that kind of cool and eclectic Disney store. We saw the Mickey and Donald cardigan. Do you remember that? Like, I can't remember. It has the tea pot in it.
Disney style.
Yes, Disney style.
By
those,
the movie theaters.
Yes, those are the two coolest Disney themed like merchandise shops to go at Disney Springs. But yeah, the World of Disney, and it was 1 billion times magnified and worse during COVID. Because like, even if you got there an hour before they opened, there was already 417 people waiting in line because they let 3.5 people in at a time. I mean, I know they were trying to do safety and indoor, but like I was like, I'm just going to go the day that I go home. I'm going to go over there in the morning. My flight is like at 2. I'm not going to the parks today. I'll just go over there. And I got there at 10, stood in line until almost 12:30 to get it. Cause I didn't do all the shopping for my kids. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm that dad. So yeah, it was horrific. Not 12:30, 11:30, because I didn't leave until 12:30 and my flight was at like 2 and I was like, sweet Mary and Joseph. Thankfully it was a weekday, not a weekend. Anyway, that's my World of Disney skip it.
I agree. I actually thought about that one when I was thinking of what I would say is overrated in Disney Springs. And the last time we there, it was just mass chaos.
Yes.
Like there's no flow to the store. Like everyone's
It's like Black Friday.
Yeah, it is. It's Black Friday all the time.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to describe it. We don't need to say anything else about it. Imagine Black Friday every day for Disney stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
I'm with you. So here's mine.
All right.
My overrated is kind of a combo because they're owned by the same people. And my overrated at Disney Springs is going to be the T-Rex and the Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, 100%.
And this is why. It is average Applebee's quality food that you pay a ridiculous amount of money for because you're inside a volcano.
Wow.
That's essentially what it is. You eat inside of a mountain. I went there for my birthday. When we came as a family, my mom made reservations at the Rainforest Cafe in Disney Springs. And I was like, this is going to be super cool. We got in there. Like, we stood in line forever. We were there 2 Saturdays ago. We went down there, and there was a line of at least 100 people waiting to check in.
Oh my
so
gosh.
like that turns me off automatically.
Yep.
Like if I have to wait in line to check in to eat, like that's too much. So we had to wait in line to check in. You go inside, it is the loudest place in the history of eating.
I've never been in there.
You have to yell at people. Like you have to yell at the people at the table to like hear them. It's just it's a big open room. Like once you get into the area, like
right.
it has cool decorations, but it's a big open room and everyone's yelling. So just imagine being like trying to eat dinner at the club. You know what I mean? Like music's blasting, like people are yelling at the table next to you. They're singing birthdays and they're bringing out sparklers. Like it was just too much.
It's a lot going on.
Too much. There's a lot going on. So I think just the fact that it's average food, like if it was amazing food with that kind of experience, like, okay, but it's kind of just average food that you pay way too much money for in an average environment.
Applebee's,
so that's why
so
to me, it's like T-Rex, Rainforest Cafe. Like I'd rather go eat at, one of the 95 other places in Disney Springs.
Yeah. That's really good. And it's funny because I chose food for my underrated, but it's probably not going to be what you think. But like my favorite thing about Rainforest Cafe is the environment. Like it's never been good food, but it's always so cool in there. Like in the big fish tanks and stuff. I don't know. I've always liked it for that, but haven't been in like 20 years easily.
Yeah. Like I would just go, like if I wanted to see that, I'd like go walk around and look in there and then leave. Like I wouldn't like eating in there does not interest me. Like I'd go see it. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to the gift shop and like sneak by and then walk around and check everything out.
And very smart.
Yeah.
Okay. My underrated, like I said, is
what you got?
Food. And that is, you're going to laugh. Chicken Guy.
Dang.
Absolutely.
I did pick that.
Oh, yeah, that's it. So we have the same one?
I did, but it's fine. I have another one. You're
okay.
good.
I love that place. And clearly Brandon does too. Okay. So there's absolutely nothing special about this place at all. No. It's actually the most special thing is where they managed to stuff it into the back of the, what is it? The Planet Hollywood, like on the
Hollywood,
yeah, it's very tiny, but like, oh, I will go to Disney Springs just to eat there, or Splitsville. You guys have turned me on to Splitsville because we've eaten there a couple times. Yeah, I don't know, like, because it's so great. It's pretty affordable. Dare we even say cheap?
It's actually the cheapest thing in Disney Springs.
And the breading that they use in the chicken is really good. And I love that, like, they have all of these cool sauces for you can try. Like, I always go there and get like a 3-piece with some fries and get buy 6 sauces. Like, so every bite is something different. And that's what I think my favorite, if anybody's wondering, the wasabi honey. Oh Lord. Wasabi honey. It's so good. But yeah, I don't know. I love it. And it's a chain. Like, it's in other places, but yeah, I will go there just to eat that crazy food. That's fun. That's my underrated.
That is 100% underrated. Like you said, it is, I think it was determined to be the cheapest like meal. If you get like a 3-piece tenders and fries and a drink, it costs you like $11.
Yeah.
Like, you're not buying that's what a beer costs at Disney Springs. So like, you're not getting another meal for cheaper than that. No. So yes, that was underrated. And then you said my other at 1B, I'm going to go underrated Splitsville. Right?
Oh, nice.
People think, right? Because people think, if I say, hey, let's go to Splitsville, all they know about it is just like, isn't that the bowling alley at Disney Springs? Well, yes, it is the bowling alley, but I've been to Splitsville 30 times, and probably 3 of those times I've been bowling. Like, the reason that I love this place is that right now they kind of have a limited menu. It's starting to come back, but when they had their full menu, they had everything. I'm talking from Chinese food to pizza,
sushi,
to fried chicken to sushi. Like, you could say, if you had friends coming into town, you could say, let's go to Splitsville. And if everybody likes something different, everybody could find something on the menu.
100%.
And it's a cool environment. They have an outdoor patio that we usually sit on. There's usually live music out there. So yeah, I love Splitsville. When people say, where do you want to go in Disney Springs? I always say there, because it's affordable. Like, it's not the most expensive thing in Disney Springs. It's certainly not Chicken Guy cheap, but it's a great place, and it's always just a great atmosphere. So underrated. Go to Splitsville. It's not just about the bowling people.
Yeah, I've been there twice with you guys. We did not go inside, so I don't even know what it's like in there.
No.
I don't even think I went to the restroom in there. I think it was the restroom was somewhere out there somewhere out there in Disney Springs. But give them your tip, man. There is a appetizer that you get, but you switch it up. Give them a little pro tip.
There is. So there is a appetizer on the menu. It's called the Macho Nachos, right? So next time you go there, order the Macho Nachos. That comes with ground beef. It has like bean salsa. It's got some queso crema and some other, some pico on it or something like that. But this is what you do. Next time you go, ask for the Macho Nachos, but tell them instead of chips, you would like French fries.
Yes.
And the server, some of them have heard it before, but most of the servers will look at you like,
okay.
Most of them will be like, I don't know if we could do that. And trust me, you can. Yeah. And then you'll get that other server who's like, yeah, you know the secret. It's way better. French fries with the nachos is way better than chips. So if you go to Splitsville, tell them Brandon told you to get the Macho Nachos, but with fries.
Yeah, Billy in the back will know. He'll know what to do.
Billy in the back will know. And they'll give you the Brandon discount.
That's right, which is nothing.
Which is
Tables in Wonderland that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, Tables doesn't come back.
All right, man. We did well.
All right.
That was super fun. Join us next week when we talk about we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. We figure it out on like Wednesday.
I know.
Morning.
I feel like we do better with these than we do when we plan them.
I agree, because if you plan them, like, you try to write like a script and you try to stick to like and this is more like who we are. Like, we just sit and we BS about Disney.
I did write a lot though today because I was passionate about this topic. I was like, I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like, get the reason.
Like, I sent this to Dave at like 8:30 this morning on my way to work, and he texts me at like 10:45, and he's like, I am conflicted. I got a lot of thoughts about this one. So I'm glad it turned into a good discussion. It was fun.
And we went over an hour.
Yeah.
That's the first time in a hot minute.
That's the first time in a while. So I hope people are still
I
listening.
know. I'm glad you stuck with us.
They probably turned it off. They were like, wait a minute. These guys finally got it under an hour, and now they're going back.
I lost the bet. Did he just say Bug's Life? I'm out.
That's probably where I would have turned it off.
Oh, I hate all of you. I love you. This was great, man. Thanks for this. Is a great idea, and we've never done this before. Maybe we should make it like a yearly annual.
Yeah, this
tradition.
is the first annual Overrated, Underrated.
That's right. You never know. Maybe next year it'll be like Overrated Tron. Never know. Oh wait, it won't be open
Disney.
yet.
Overrated Disney, underrated Universal.
Yes. Okay, people. Until next week,
right, people.
we say bicycle.
Peace.